most people out there are telling you to heal your childhood stuff or do personal development or counseling. But what if that isn't what you need? What if the real problem is that you built your life on a foundation that was never yours to begin with? One your mother handed you that taught you to abandon yourself, that you're only worthy of love when you abandon yourself. This is not about blaming her, but this is about finally remembering you. So stick with me, because I'm about to show you why everything you've been trying still doesn't feel like it's working, and why certain parts of your life still feel off.
1, 2, 3, 4.
My name is Natalie Bouchard, and I'm a TEDx speaker, former trauma survivor. Really? I can't even stand that title. But anyways, mother of 2 teenage daughters, lover of truth, and the woman who has spent over 600,000, over 600,000, chasing wisdom like it owed me money. But before that, I was just a kid who thought it was totally normal to feel unsafe around the one person who was supposed to make me feel the safest. Because here's the deal no one says out loud. Most of us who grew up in the dark childhood don't think we grew up in a dark childhood. We just don't see it like that. I remember growing up and looking at TV shows where the parents were all perfect, the family was all perfect, and my parents would be like, that's not even real life. So, look, we didn't have anything else to compare it with. We just thought, well, I guess this is life. It made us stronger. We're survivors, right? We're problem solvers. So what do? We normalize the dark. We make it functional. We call it tough love, or my mom just had it hard, or I turned out fine. Except no, not really. We're high functioning, oh yeah, but also overgiving, overperforming, overdoing everything, over abandoning, and we'll dive into more of this in the next videos. What you need isn't therapy or healing either. If you're anything like me, that never felt, especially the therapy stuff, that made me feel worse. So I stopped that right away. And so what we need is to shed light on the darkness we've been calling normal our entire life. The stuff you're still carrying in your nervous system from your mom, even if she's here or she's gone. And until you do, you'll keep transferring it to your work, to your kids, to your body, to your relationships, and you won't even know you're doing it. That's why the challenges in your life show up to show you this, what you need to let go of. And I talk about this in my Human Bumps TED Talk, how life challenges is life guiding you towards natural success. Now, this isn't just for women. Now, there are more women that I work with, but I also work with men. This is for anyone, man, women, who had a painful, weird, disappointing, absent, narcissistic, controlling, shaming, or even passive mom. Yes, passive counts too. Moms who let you grow up in toxic environments and said nothing. Moms who said that didn't happen when it definitely did. Moms who shut you up instead of showing up. You didn't need them to be perfect. You just needed them to be there. And then they didn't. So you learned to protect yourself. which often meant abandoning yourself. So I've seen it all. Clients whose moms were cruel and narcissistic, clients whose moms were scared of life and they passed down fear that left these women bedridden, in pain, with health issues that they couldn't explain. Clients whose moms died young and stepmoms were emotionally abusive. Clients whose moms turned their backs on them when they shared how they were abused sexually by someone close. All these different stories. Same root, same pattern. A broken foundation built from mom's wounds instead of your truth. And listen, this isn't about blaming her. Trust me, I'm so over the blame game. I didn't get to this level by blaming anyone. We're all innocent in this. But also, we can't ignore the truth of how we were raised either, because that lack of acceptance blocks us from rising in life. So this is about breaking the chain, because if you don't, you either become her and you're not aware of that, or you'll spend your life doing everything to not be her. Like me, I vowed not to be like my mom. She was more controlling, narcissistic, emotionally abusive. So I became her opposite. I was distant, avoidant, always gone, workaholic. I was physically present, emotionally, not really. And guess what? Neither was my truth. So I'm going to just say it. Most of the programs out there either spiritually bypass because your childhood was different. So most don't understand the root of your patterns. Or there's these programs centered around trauma and they dive deep in it, which also, what that does is that it gives power to the toxic pattern that is sabotaging your life. So something won't feel good about that either, of course. And honestly, I'm just going to say this. Most of the people teaching, they had great moms. So they can't get it. They have no idea what the root cause of your life issues are. Like, we did cupcakes and she held me when I cried type of moms. I didn't have that. And if you didn't either, welcome. You just found your people. So what I discovered, the problem wasn't the trauma. The problem is not the abuse. That's why a lot of programs centered around it is not going to help anyone. Not in the way that us high achievers, people that value freedom, value liberation, value making an impact in this world, that's not going to help you because that's not the problem. The real problem was, number one, I built a life on a foundation that required me to abandon myself just to feel safe and loved. And I had no idea. Because when you've only ever known self-abandonment, you don't even realize you're doing it. And you call it being strong. You call it being productive. You call it just how I am, but it's not who you are. It's who you became. Because you learned when you were really little to read the room and be for her what she needed you to be, so that you can get love, so that you can be safe. But then you wake up as an adult, like me, and you're like, wait, why do I not like this life I built? But on the outside, it looks like it's great, but something felt off. Because it wasn't built by you, the real you. Because the real you, the true you, You've been abandoning her, him, since you're little. And so that you is buried under your mom's pain still until you undo her. Okay? And we'll keep we're going to have a lot of videos, okay? Be sharing so much here. Number 2 is you were taught to not trust life. Deep within your bones, you do not trust life. 10 years ago, I realized I was not being the mom I knew I was here to be. I knew something was off. I had a breakdown in front of my kids. That's when I started seeking truth. My soul was starving for it. I've spent over $600,000 on my healing and awakening. I'm certified in energy work, nervous system regulation, quantum physics, NLP, nutrition, somatic intelligence, medical intuition, ancient wisdom, epigenetics, gene keys, human design. Oh my God. I had guided over thousands of people, and all of it, until just last September, by the way, led me to develop what I now call my life's work, and it's called Harmonize with the Power of Life. This is not life coaching, I promise you that. It's to harmonize with the power of life. See, the thing is, when you grow up with the mother wound, I will call it, you deeply don't trust life. You believe you've been dealt the wrong cards. You believe you had it harder, and they, whoever they is, got it easier. This is so deep within your cells that no personal development or mindset or healing or all of that was shifting this for me. Didn't matter what I placed in my mind or the quote unquote healing I thought in my mind that I needed. Let's face it, your mind's trying to solve the problems for the very problems your mind is creating. So it just got you in this loop thing, just like it did for me. The foundation of trusting life was broken. And this program is how I began to trust life fully. This is how I began to know through the intelligence in my body what was me and what was fabricated to keep me safe. Because it's really hard for us to know what is really us and what is a pattern or an ego or a paradigm that we created since we were little to keep us safe, and now it's performing in our lives right now. So this is the program, this is the methodology that I'm going to be sharing a lot in these next videos. Because now I know life's got my back. I know life loves me unconditionally, even if my mom didn't. I don't rely on faith or have hope or pray. This is a methodology that you have to see it for yourself. And I tell clients, don't just believe me. Test it out for yourself. You will see. Because life truly has your back. And when you apply the harmonize with life, with the power of life, you logically understand the mechanics behind the power of life and how life does have your back. Hey, there's a force out there. Scientists call it this greater matter that controls all smaller matter. So there's a greater matter that controls all smaller matter. So there's a greater force. And when you have this kind of childhood, you move against that force. And well, like my TED Talk says, then there will be human bumps and life challenges because life wants you to come back to center, wants you to come back to the part of you that you keep abandoning. The real you, the true you, life is BFF with that part of you, just so you know. And so a lot of these bumps and challenges are bumping up against you to show you what to let go. So that's why you don't need healing. Life is your healer. Life is already showing you what to let go. And once you let go, you rise. And then when you rise, you live at a different level. So in these series, I will talk about all of this because I know I'm sharing a lot in this one video. But I also want to encourage so many individuals that relate to my background to open up to this, because no, this information is not out there. Because like I said, most coaches had a good relationship with their mom. They didn't have this toxic upbringing that threw you deeply off with life. So in these series, this is not about fixing you either. Here's the thing, you were never the problem. You've been wrongly convinced you were. And now you're trying to prove yourself. It's about rebuilding the foundation you never got. It's about remembering yourself before the shrinking, before the silencing, before the performance, before the badge of honor of, I'm strong and independent. And it's like, if I could speak to the old me, really, Natalie, how's that working for you in your relationships? And then you would blame the men, that it was because of the men that you weren't, that's why the relationships weren't good. No, it's literally this that threw me completely off. And also, it's to let go of this story of, I turned out fine. Really? You haven't been fine a day of your life. You just normalized not being fine. Here's the truth. You have lots of experience. You have intelligence and wisdom that is beyond, that's living inside of you. You know it. We call it street smarts. That's what I used to call it. You have true strength. Not the I'm strong, independent mask. No, not that. You have unbelievable resiliency, courage, authentic, deep down in your bones power. You see things that most people don't see. All adults with a difficult childhood have these profound gifts, but a lot of it you're not seeing. Not until you see that a lot of it is buried under her pain. So until you undo her from a place of light, not dark, then a lot of your true intelligence and wisdom and power and calling and mission and purpose stays dormant. It stays dormant. So what I'm here to share is to wake up a very big part of the collective that is still stuck in her wounds. All right? Also, I created this series because I couldn't find what I needed anywhere else. Not the poor you lens. A lot of you know what I'm talking about. Not the endless therapy, not the spiritual bypassing that says, just raise your vibration, babe. You're a little too negative. I'm like, really? I'm transparent. Here's the highest frequency. It's not positive. It's transparency. It's real. It's raw. You know what I mean? Anyway, I needed truth. I needed to understand what actually happened inside of me. What shifted? What was throwing me off in life? Why did I feel so empty and dark? Why was it? But I had normalized it, and people would say that's dark, that's empty, and I'm like, what? You know? So I had to see all of this so I could stop transferring my unhealed patterns onto my own kids. So here's what we're going to do. In this first video, I'm going to share my childhood. This is the next video. It's raw. It's bare. literally bear. It's real. You may ask, why is she naked? Not that you see anything, you don't see my whole body, but you could tell I did the video bare. The thing is that when you're bare, your mind is focused on being bare. So it's distracted. So you stop hiding, right? You hide behind clothes. So you stop hiding. So your heart starts talking. Something deep within your cells, your bones, starts to express. So I was interviewed about my childhood, and I went there. And I want to share all parts of me. I want to share with vulnerability, because I am in great acceptance of all parts of me. That's what shedding light on all of it is. And that there's an incredible life. And this is the most important part. That there's an incredible life waiting for you beyond the pain. And no, you don't have to become a vibrational match for that life that is yours. That's like saying, oh, you gotta work hard and you gotta do this process and this methodology so that you're worthy of what was always yours to begin with. I'm not a fan with a lot of the stuff that's out there. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Life is already here. The life that you desire, the life that you don't even know you want, by the way. That life is already waiting for you to unlock it when you undo her first and become you. Like I said, life and the real you, the heart you, the truth of you are BFF. And so when you're connected to that part of you, things unlock very quickly. That was always yours. You never needed to work to open up to it. All right? So if this resonates, subscribe, share it with others like that you know have had a bad relationship with their mom, because just in my voice, in my stories, in my frequency, there's a lot of codes. There's a lot in it that you're going to feel here that is just going to start just turning the needle for you. And this makes a big difference. So if your childhood was dark, you don't need more dark. You need to shed light on the dark. You need your power back. You need to undo her from a place of light, not blame. You need to undo her and remember you. All right? Here's the next video. I remember I'm sleeping and my brother, sister, and myself were sharing one bedroom. It's a small bedroom. On one side, there's this bunk bed and then one single bed, and I was in the single bed and they were sharing a bunk bed. And my brother was on the top. And I woke up in the middle of the night. My brother was screaming because my dad was beating him up in his sleep. He must have been like 9 years old. And I kept looking at her. How can you be so weak? How could you just stay with a man that would do this to your own children? Like, what spell are you under? I was so fucking angry. I was more angry at her. Because instinctively, I knew that she was creating the energy of that household. Women don't realize it. I didn't realize it. But that was hell to live in that kind of dynamic. Another time, my brother, of course, he's being beaten up all the time. So guess what he's doing? He's in school and he's a bully. So he hit a couple girls at school. He gets home. The school contacted my parents to let them know that he had hit a couple of girls. Well, and I think he was really practicing his karate on them, which I don't think he really meant to hurt them, but he was in karate and he was actually trying to practice his karate. My dad, the anger, threw him against the front door. We were living in a little tiny house, so it's a small house. And the main entrance door, I remember, again, maybe 8 years old, grabs him, throws him against the door, punches. His fist went through the fucking door and like missed his head. And it's because my brother instinctively went like this because he would have fucking blew his head. And again, she would stay. She sometimes would even say, "Stop making your dad so mad." Yeah. The fuck? Once, my dad goes into the fridge. There's milk. The milk is gone. He lines us up, all three of us, one beside each other. Who drank all the milk? Well, us kids know what's coming. So all of us are like, no, right? We're not gonna, and me, beat me up, you know? So he would choose one that he decided, it is you. You're the lying one. You're the one that drank all the milk. Select one of us and then beat us up. And it wasn't a win for the other two that weren't selected because the horror we felt watching one of us getting beaten up. I remember once we had a babysitter, and the babysitter decided that, hey, let's skip school. I mean, we're following the babysitter, you know? So we're like, okay, I guess we're skipping school. I don't know. I mean, we weren't very old. I must have been like in grade 2. So, and my brother is a year younger than me, and my sister, we're all like a year apart. So we're close in age. My dad finds out, my mom finds out that we skipped school. Because of course school would contact and let them know we weren't at school, right? My dad beat me so bad. Because apparently it was my fault. Somehow I should have helped the babysitter make a different choice. We would have these straps. They had these straps. And they actually made fun of it, that they had straps with our names on it. It's a little fucked up, isn't it? I remember going to school. Now, this is really hard for me to even share this with anybody right now. So you can imagine as a child, I wasn't sharing this with anyone. But as I stretched over to grab paper while I was in the classroom with my teacher, she noticed these black and blue marks on my back. And so she called the services, and the services went to my parents' house. And I remember my mom's like, you think you're a little martyr, or you think you're like, well, she would say martyr, because they're French Canadian. The system is messed up because you show up, but then you leave me there? Like, what the fuck do you think is going to happen?